All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Waharakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and to all the Akim throughout the four winds. Continue pushing in truth and sincerity and Shalom and Barakatham to you. Okay, want to go and do a video going into different word for strangers and how this can apply to Israelites as well as heathens, and how it could apply also to mostly like, oh man, how should I say, Salakia. All right, going into the word strangers, how it always doesn't apply to the same people. It doesn't always apply to Israelites, and it always doesn't apply to heathens. That's what I want to say. It could, you gotta know how to differentiate the word strangers, and that's what I want to do a video about. The word strangers or strange, and go into a couple of definitions and bring out precepts here and there, just proving my point. I don't want to make the video too long, but I want to be edifying. I hope that the Lord puts a spirit on me that I can feed the sheep and be edifying to the sheep, because we're commanded to feed the sheep. So that's what I want to do. I want to do a video on the word stranger. So let's get right into it, right? Because when people read words like these for these wacky-tacky Christians, they don't know how to differentiate strangers. They always believe it's speaking about the same exact people and this and that. They don't know history. They can't go into history to break down this, to put the pieces of the puzzle together. They can't do that. Then, they're out of order. They're wacky-tacky, so of course they're going to be out of order. But anyway, I'm going to start with the first scripture I want to grab is in Exodus chapter 2 and verse 21. But the point is going to be in 22. Right? Exodus chapter 2, let's start at verse 21. And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah his daughter. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom, for he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. Right? I have been a stranger in a strange land. Let's just bring this out right quick. Excuse me, I got to bring this out. Now, his son's name was Gershom or Garshom. Now, this is an omen nomen. Names have omen nomens, right? Like Yahweh Shai has, which is a name prediction. Yahweh Shai means he saves. It's a prediction that he saves, right? It's predicted that he saves. Well, Moses' son, Gershom, means foreigner. It's a name prediction, and the Israelites were foreigners, just like we are here in America or wherever we're at. We're foreigners, okay, in a strange land, right? Gershom, which means foreigner. That's all it means, foreigner, right? Now, when you go into this word H1616, stranger, it's gar. It's not ger. It's not G-E-R. It's gar. G-A-R. Gar. Which means sojourner, a temporary inhabitant, a newcomer, lacking inherited rights of foreigners in Israel. So it's dealing with the Israelites. Though conceded rights. A foreigner, a stranger. So the word for foreigner would be gar. Or stranger would be gar, which would be H1616. Did I say G? No, it's H1616. Excuse me if I did. Right? Gar, a stranger. So that will refer to the Israelite foreigners dwelling in a strange land. Let me read that again. Exodus chapter 2 and verse 22. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom. For he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. So Gershom means stranger or foreigner. Name prediction, right? And let's go into this word strange. In a strange land. The Hebrew word will be Nakar. There's no O's in the Hebrew, but it'll be Nakar. So it'll mean foreigner, alien, foreigner, foreign woman, harlot, unknown, unfamiliar. Right? We're in a strange land. We're amongst these heathen nations practicing their customs, right? And I'm going to grab precepts to prove that. But let's establish this first. Nakar will be a non-Israelite because we're in amongst a strange land. For example, we're Israelites here. Our people are following heathen customs here in America. They don't know that they're Israelites. My people does not consider like the scriptures say. So they're here in America amongst the strange people. And those strange people are these heathens. So Nakar will be, for the most part, will be referring to heathen nations, but not always though, and I'm gonna prove that, not always. So let me read this before I prove that. Let's read this again. Exodus chapter 2 and verse 22. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom, for he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. So I've been a foreigner, an Israelite foreigner in a strange land. Strange land representing these, being amongst these heathen nations, right? Represents or referring to these non-Israelites. All right, let's grab scriptures to prove that. There's plenty of scriptures here. Let's start with Jeremiah chapter 2. Jeremiah chapter 2. It doesn't always refer to heathen nations. And I'm going to prove that right quick. Jeremiah chapter 2. This is going to be my first scripture to prove it. Jeremiah chapter 2. And let's grab... start at verse 20. Jeremiah chapter 2. Let's get to the point. Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 21. Yet I have planted thee a noble vine. Noble means to be of the best, the purest stock, like it says here in the NLT version. Choosing a vine of the purest stock, the very best, right? Woolly, right? Because what separates us and these heathens? The law, statute, commandments. That's what separates us from these heathen nations. You don't see these other nations keeping the law, statute, commandments of God, of the Heavenly Father. They're eating pork, they're eating crabs, they're eating shrimp, they're eating lobster, they're eating scallops, they're eating all kinds of abominable food. They're eating sharks, they're eating vultures. And that's true. You got these heathen nations, they eat cats, they eat rats, they eat dogs, bats, all kinds of abominable foods. But the Israelites were given laws not to be like these heathens. We're not these heathen nations. Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 21. Yet I had planted thee a noble vine, woolly a right seed. How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? Now let's look up that word strange here. It doesn't always apply to heathen nations. It can apply to Israelites. H5237, once again, Nakar. Because when you dwell in a strange land, like I read in Exodus, the 2nd chapter, you start picking up these heathen customs. Exactly the same exact thing we did when we were around these Greeks or these heathen nations. It was now lawful for us to keep the law, statute, commandments, like it says in, I believe, 2nd Maccabees, 2nd Maccabees, the 6th chapter. Let's grab it right quick. It wasn't lawful for Israelites to keep the law, statute, and commandments. But I'm just going to grab it right quick. Let's start at verse 6. 2nd Maccabees 6 and 6. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient fasts or feasts or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. Why? Because we were amongst these strange heathens. So we started picking up their customs. You had a lot of our people, when you go to Maccabees chapter, 1st Maccabees chapter 1. And verse let's start at verse 15. Speaking about Israelites, right? Israelite foreigners or Israelites. And made themselves, 1st Maccabees 1 and 15, and made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. So Nakaria, which will refer to heathens or a heathen nation, but not always. It's just like being in a Gentile state of mind, right? Israelites were in a Gentile state of mind. And I'm going to grab the one in 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter. But let's read this again. Yet I have planted thee a noble vine, woolly a right seed. How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? So that word strange is Nakaria, right? Now, First Corinthians chapter 12, and let's read verse 2. 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 2. He know that he were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as he were led. Meaning we were like these heathen nations, or following these heathen nations as we were led, following these dumb idols, these false gods. Our people till this day do that. That's why they serve a white god. That's why they love their master. They love Esau, Edom. They love the devil. Right? He know that he were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as he were led. Let me go into that word Gentile right quick, just to show you something. G, Greek, the G stands for the Greek. G, 1484, ethnos, Greek word.
Strong's G, 1484, ethnos. Ethnos.
Right. The correct definition for this would be a tribe, excuse me, definitely not that. Oh, man. A tribe, nation, people, group. Right? And another one be correct will be this one right here. Paul uses the term for Gentile Christians. And first Christians, when you read Acts chapter 11 and verse 26, it's speaking about the Israelites, the first Christians, all right, in Antioch, right? Because the only ones that could be anointed, Christian just means anointed. The only ones that could be anointed are Israelites. So Paul uses the term for Gentile Christians. You see that? But that's it. So he know that he were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as he were led. And I guarantee you, if the New Testament was translated into the Hebrew, matter of fact, I got a New Testament. I looked that up afterwards. I actually got a New Testament in the Hebrew, was not the Paleo Hebrew, but the Assyrian. I guarantee you that word for Gentile, or if it said strangers, it would have been Nakar. I could guarantee you that. You know that he were Gentiles or strangers. It would have. I guarantee it would have said Nakar or something like that. Which is like this, exactly what I read in Jeremiah, the 2nd chapter. But if it was translated that, I'm pretty sure it would say that. But here's another one. Let's go into Psalms 106. Let's start at verse 34. Psalms 106 and verse 34. They did not destroy the nations, meaning these heathen nations, concerning whom the Lord commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works. So we were mingled among these heathen nations, the real Nakar or Goyim, the real heathens, right? And we learned their works. That's how we started becoming Israelite foreigners. That's how we became Israelite foreigners. Verse 35, but were mingled, verse 35, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works. And they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils. And it's crazy because our people till this day are still doing that. You ain't got no father figure in the house. And if you do got some type of father, so-called father figure in the house, he's telling you to be a musician. Go sell your soul to make music for the so-called, for the white man. Go sell your soul. Go be like these heathens, right? That's not a real father figure, all right? Telling your daughters. I watched a video last week. Actually, I watched about 5 seconds of it. I put it on. I'm like, hell no. You had 3 bitches, and literally, I did. I put it on and I took it off by like a few seconds. You had the father, it was one of them TikTok videos, them short demonic videos that our people are into. You had his 3 daughters were twerking in front of their biological real father. That ain't no real father figure. Putting your daughters shaking their ass on fucking TikTok for fucking millions of views or whatever it is. That's why our people got to be put to death. And he was all happy about it. The scriptures say you keep your daughters in straitly. You don't go prostitute your daughters and sell your daughters out. You don't do that shit. But you got these dumbass so-called father figures these father figures that allow their daughters to get on Instagram, on YouTube, on all these social media network sites and shake their ass. But meanwhile, our videos are taken down. Our videos get taken down. Get the fuck out of here, man. But they allow that shit to be put up. So, all right. So we were like these heathens, right? And we learned their works. So Jeremiah chapter 2 and 22, 21, I explained that a strange vine unto me, right? We became like these heathen nations. Not saying that you're a natural Gentile, but you had this heathen state of mind. Because we follow these Gentiles. Now, let's grab Deuteronomy 31 and 16. This Deuteronomy chapter 31 and verse 16. And the Lord said unto Moses, behold, thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, and this people will rise up and go a whoring after the gods of the strangers of the land, whither they go to be among them, and will forsake me and break my covenant which I have made with them. Let's look at that word strangers. H5236 now. It's Nakar or Nakar, same thing, which means foreign, alien. What are you alien to? Your law, statute, and commandments. That's what makes us a special people over these heathen nations. Look what it says here. Heathendom. So the word Nakar refers to heathen nations. But when Israelites start following these heathen customs, you're also referred to Nakaria or Nakar. Not saying that you're a blood descendant of these heathens, no. But you're following these heathen customs. Right? A foreigner, heathendom, strange. Alien, foreigner, foreign gods, Nakar. So everything doesn't apply the same. There's different words and meanings for strangers or strange or estranged. Okay. Let's go to Genesis chapter 35. Let's start at verse 2. Then Jacob said unto his household, and to all that were with him, meaning unto his kindred, his people, put away the strangers, or put away the strange gods that are among you, and be ye clean, and be clean, and change your garments, meaning not to be like them, meaning change your garments, meaning not to put on the garments or the apparel of these heathen nations. Right? Goes back into what Adam and Eve, back in the garden. They sewed onto the fig leaves. I believe that's representative of them being covered in these, trying to hide behind these heathens of these, I got to go back into it. If I am going off, I got to go back into it and check that out. But anyway, put away the strange gods that are among you. So that's what Jacob said to his people. Which Jacob is the progenitor of the nation of Israel, which consists of your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Well, the progenitor of the 12 tribes. Not the state of Israel, but the 12 tribes. You can't find the 12 tribes in Israel right now. You know why? Because they're not there. They're not there. That place, that land is defiled. There is even a law in Numbers 35 and 34, I believe it is. Matter of fact, I'll grab it. I'll grab it right quick just to bring that out. I know it's there. I know for a fact it's in Numbers 35 and verse 34. This Numbers chapter 35 and verse 34. Defile not therefore the land which ye shall inhabit. You got Pink City, Tel Aviv. You got Kosher Pig. You got these heathens in our land that don't even know what tribe they're from. They're all over the place. There's wars in that land. That's another way to defile it. Rockets being shot off from Palestine into Israel, Israel into Palestine. That's a violation, a huge violation of the scriptures. That's how we can also prove that they're not the people. Pursuant to Isaiah 2, there's wars in the land, right? Wherein I dwell. For I, the Lord, dwell among the children of Israel. Why do you think the Lord's presence is not there? Because that's not, the Israelites are not in that land now. Doesn't matter if HODC went over there a few years back to Israel. Look, they had you niggas putting on fucking, what they call that shit? The fucking little hats they put. Not kufis, the other shit. Fuck them kufis. The other little shit that looks like a fucking kufi. I forgot what that shit's called. But you don't belong in that land, all right? Ben Ami, another nigga that died, all right? He's in peace now, but he died back in 2015 or whatever, 17 or 12, whatever it was. But the Lord said he'll plant us there, not us planting ourselves there. We ain't gonna go in there with through with a Balfour Declaration like these fake Jews did. Defile not therefore the land which you shall inhabit, wherein I dwell. For I, the Lord, dwell among the children of Israel. You see that? That's why the Lord's presence isn't in that land. Why? Because that land is polluted and defiled. Another scripture you could read about that is Isaiah 26 and I believe verse 10. Pretty sure I'm right about that too. In a land of uprightness, there will not behold the Lord's majesty. Anyway, Genesis chapter 35 and verse 2. Then Jacob said unto his household and to all that were with him, put away the strange gods that are among you. H5236. Foreign. Heathendom. So we were commanded to put away the strange gods from among us. Right? We were always amongst these heathens, and they were amongst us. All right, if you were an Israelite foreigner, you were always among these heathens, following their ways or their customs. Let's grab another one. This is, did I grab this one already? Deuteronomy. Hold on, let me see if I grabbed it already. I'm not sure if I grabbed this one. Deuteronomy 31 and 16. Yeah, I grabbed that one already. Grab Psalms 106, I grabbed. Exodus, I began with Exodus, right? Yep. Let's grab Isaiah. This, now, when you go to Isaiah, right? Let's grab Isaiah 14 and 1. And we're going to read this. Isaiah chapter 14 and 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Now let's look at this word for strangers. H1616, the H means the Hebrew. That's all the H stands for. Hebrew 1616. Gar. There's no E's in the Hebrew or the Paleo Hebrew, so it wouldn't be Ger. Ger. Look how this devil says it.
Strong's H1616. Gar.
Oh, he actually said it right.
Gar.
But it's not with an E though. Gar.
Just below that, Gair.
That's wrong.
Gair.
So he said it right the first time, right? Gar. Right, sojourner, a temporary inhabitant, a newcomer lacking inherited rights of foreigners in Israel, though conceded rights. I'm not going to grab, I wanted to grab Exodus, the 12th chapter, to go into the Passover, who is lawful to eat the Passover, and who is not, who is allowed to eat the Passover, and who is not allowed to eat the Passover. But I'm not going to grab that yet. I want to make that a separate video. right? Because that goes into the heathens, that goes into the Israelite foreigners as well as the heathens. But I don't want to do a video on that just yet. I'm very aware of that. I had that in mind too. But a foreigner, properly a guest, by implication a foreigner, alien, sojourner, stranger. Check what it says here. Jusinius Hebrew Chaldee Lexicon. A sojourner, stranger, foreigner, a person living out of his own country. You see that? Right, because Israelites were scattered amongst these heathens. You know? Just like you had in when the Holy Spirit was poured down during the time of the Feast of Pentecost. And you had Israelites coming from all over to you know, celebrate the Feast of Pentecost, or the first fruits. And we were speaking different languages. We came from all over. We came from Egypt, Pathros, Cush, you know, and all these different places, Babylon, or wherever we was at. We would go to Jerusalem once a year. All right, foreigners in Israel. Here's another one. So this word for gar will represent Israelite foreigners. That's what that word gar will represent. Okay. So when you read the word gar, it'll represent an Israelite foreigner. You know. So, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. This is speaking about Israelite foreigners. It's not speaking about heathen nations. A lot of these Israelites, or these Israelite camps, and these people that so-called claim to be Bible scholars and followers of the Bible, they don't study simple words like strangers. They believe that stranger means the same exact thing every time. No. No. You got, like, for example, you got some bugged out niggas here. IUIC, I was watching a video. This is not part of the subject matter, but it can tie in if you know. But they were trying to break down the new moon. They believe that the new moon comes in when it's fully lit up, when the moon is at its, you know. No, the new moon comes in when you can't even see barely nothing. That's the new moon. Then it increases in its perfection, right? But they brought out that they believe that the new moon is when the moon is is lit, when it's fully, you know, lit, or fully all right, lit. But you brothers know what I mean, lost. But anyway, but on the other hand, they believe that Friday and Saturday is the new moon always. How can that be? It just don't make no sense. Every Friday and Saturday is a new moon. That shit do not make no sense. I was thinking about, I'm like, wait a minute, I got to do a video on that, Lord willing. Lord willing, I'll do a video on that too, but that's not part of this. Let me just go back to where I was at. But anyway, Isaiah 14:1 is speaking about Israelite foreigners. Okay, now Ephesians chapter 2. I'm going to wrap this up in a little bit. Ephesians chapter 2, and let's begin at verse 10. Verse 11. Wherefore remember that he, being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, right, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands. Oh yeah, by the way, IUIC, the changing of the moon, the different phases of the moon, you're not gonna have that in a 1 week span. That's a no-no. Come on, IUIC, you gotta do better than that. You're not gonna have that in a 1 week span. All right? And I believe that word weeks does mean change. It gotta go through different cycles, different quarters. Then a new moon comes in. And the next month, everything has a specific lot, right? Sirach chapter 43. We could go into that. I'm not going to grab it, though, but I wanted to bring that out right quick. So all them phases happen within 1 week period? You fucking niggas are off. Explain that one. Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 11. Wherefore remember that being in time past, meaning in time past, Gentiles in the flesh, right? We were following these heathen nations. All right, we were likened unto Nakar, or these Goyim, or these heathen nations, but we are not these heathen nations. We were acting like them. All right. So if the New Testament was translated into the all Hebrew, I could guarantee these words for Gentile strangers would be like Nakar, or be like Gar, and all of that. But if it was, all right, but we know that in the spirit, we already know that, because we could easily go into a definition. But we were like these Gentiles. We were acting like these heathen nations. All right. Verse 12, that at that time, he were without a Mashiach Yahushai, being aliens, strangers, Gar, strangers from the commonwealth of Israel. Let's see what that word alien means. There's another word for stranger too, which represents these heathen nations, Zawar, which means to be estranged. I'm not going to grab that one though. But to alienate, estrange, to be shut out from one's fellowship and intimacy. Yeah, you had the Jews in Judea that shut out the Israelites, Israelite foreigners. That's why they would go ask Peter, what you doing eating with an Israelite foreigner? One that doesn't, what are you doing eating with this foreigner? You know, they had a great hate, a disdain, a great hate for these Israelite foreigners. Just like now, you got Israelites that hate us. They see a man that looks like an Edomite, but he's an Israelite by blood, and they're looking at him like he's an Edomite. He has nothing to do with us. And that's how these heathen nations, or these Israelites out there think, right? You can't just look at the outward appearance. The Most High doesn't see by the outward appearance. He looks in the inward man. Just because you look like a so-called white man doesn't mean you're not an Israelite, right? And vice versa. Just because you look like a so-called black man don't mean you're an Israelite neither. You could be a cracker. You could go back to one of these Edomite slave owners. How about that? These elites. All right, there's other scriptures to bring out too, but I ain't bring it out. Of course, Exodus chapter 12, Ezekiel chapter 16 and 14, Goyim, but I didn't want to bring that out. Genesis 42 and 7, Proverbs 21 and say, yeah, the congregation of the day, yeah, following these heathen nations, right? I could have grabbed that. Luke chapter 15, the prodigal son, going into prodigal son. We were like foreigners. We were like strangers from our customs at one particular time. All the brothers in this truth, until we came into the recollection or the remembrance of who we are as Israelites. And here we are now. But anyway, Lord willing was edifying. You can't just look at a word, and Lord willing, the job was done. All right, you can't look at a word every time that says strangers and think it's dealing with a heathen. No, it could represent an Israelite foreigner. It could represent heathens. For the most part, it does represent a heathen nation. All right, but you got to study these words. And Lord willing, I fed the sheep as commanded. All right, shalom.